So I figure we can have ourselves our own little views from the stands debate here. Each one of us, I think, are going to have a different team. So, George, I'm going to have you start this off for us. Who is your all-time USA men's basketball team? What year and why?
Dude, we can't forget 1992, the team that went out there and showcased everything to the world. Michael Jordan putting basically the NBA on the map when it comes to basketball and just having all around talent and all that when it overseas. We can't forget the 2018, the Redeem team with Kobe, with LeBron, with Wade, with Chris Paul, Dwight Howard. The list goes on and on. A great roster right there. But dude, this squad to me is the best squad ever put together, man. The second unit coming off the bench should be the starting unit, in my opinion, too. Like, it's crazy. You got Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo running the front court. Dude, how hard is it going to be to score on them or get an offensive rebound or even a defensive rebound sometimes off of them? Anthony Edwards, the top scorer of the first game against Canada, he had, 13 points or 8? It was either 8 to 13 points around there coming off the bench. And he looked like a damn sniper out there. He probably missed 2 shots. Like, bro, this squad put together, man, and to me, in my honest opinion, man, this is the best squad ever put for the USA.
That's a bold statement, Brandon. What are you thinking, man?
Dude, I'm gonna sound like a boomer. I swear I'm not, but I don't know, man. I just can't pick any team over the 92 Dream Team. I
really wish you would have, because that's who I picked as well. So I set up a whole bunch of stuff for this.
No, well, I mean, it's just the collection of talent yeah, obviously people are going to use the plumbers argument. I think that's really passe. I think it's lame and stupid. Like,
no, car insurance agents.
Oh, yeah, let me tell you. But just the collection of talent that they had at the time, the way they dominated their opponents, if we're going just based off of what they did in their era and their time, I think that you can't stop it. The way they dominate, I believe like they won every game by 20 plus, 30 plus, 40 plus, I think. They steamrolled opponents. They had literally every single position was filled to the brim with talent. They ran 2, even 3 deep at most positions, aside from Christian Laettner. But, you've got Michael Jordan at his absolute peak. You've got Magic Johnson that's still, probably on the tail end of his peak, but still like very elite.
Old ass. Bro, old as hell.
Yeah, that's Larry Bird right there, man. That's Larry Bird.
They're both old as hell.
Even him coming off the bench though, that's Scottie Pippen at his defensive prowess, at his prime. You got Charles Barkley and the mailman. We can't really name him too much because, man, we don't. That being said, round mound of rebound, and you got David Robinson, like all those great players on your team. It's just it's.
What about the bench? What about the bench?
Well, to piggyback off of what Brandon's saying, there is a lot of younger generation out there that may not know who was actually on that 92 team. So here's it as followed.
Go ahead.
You got Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, Clyde the Glide Drexler, who you can't say the Glide with. You can't say Clyde Drexler without saying the Glide. Just sounds way too cool. Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, Chris Mullin, David Robinson, Christian Laettner, and last but definitely not least, John Stockton. Go and hit that Ric Flair on him. Woo! That team is assembled right there, man. Yeah. In my opinion, this has to be probably the greatest team put together in history. And it's probably the most important team ever put to history, because this team is probably the team that put USA basketball and just basketball made an international sport.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
From every country just lining up for days just to be able to get a glimpse of these guys. And the NBA for a lot of the younger generation always wasn't as popular as it was now. You always had Michael Jordan being the star since he came out, but the NBA was kind of going through a growing pain of getting over the old guys of Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, even though they're on this, some of these guys were on the team, but they needed the new guard to come in, and it was Michael Jordan's time to shine. And it's hard to believe that Michael Jordan was ever the underdog / young buck of any team, and yet Michael Jordan had to prove himself on this team. And that's what's amazing about this team, is that arguably the greatest of all time had to prove himself on a team, And if you ever wanted to watch any kind of young key viewers out there, if you're ever looking to see what it is to play hard practice, look up any documentary on the 92 Dream Team. The Dream Team played themselves harder than any team ever played them in the entire Olympics. No team ever reached 100 points against them in this team. But, I mean, just talking about this team here, you got Michael Jordan on this team. You know, you had Bird, Jordan, and Malone. And a lot of people forget how good Karl Malone is. A lot of people might forget that Karl Malone is actually number 3 all-time scoring. He's kind of just forgotten about because he never got that ring. But Karl Malone is on this team with that. You got John Stockton, who is the all-time assist leaders, and they also had the number 7 all-time assist leaders on this team, and Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson might have been able to get to number 1 if his career wasn't cut short from his disease with catching HIV. But you want to talk about defense here. You got the number 7 all-time rebounder in Malone again. And let's not forget and important how good and defense is.
Because he was playing against car insurance agents, bro.
Yeah, so you have the number
Dude, it's
4,
not comparable.
number 7, and the number 9 all-time in steals in Stockton, Jordan, and Pippen. And once again, you got Malone in there, putting up the rest of the numbers. Let's not forget, too, if we're talking about defense, number 7 all-time blocks in Patrick Ewing. Besides that, the all-time desire to win. Yeah, number 7 is Patrick Ewing all-time in blocks. So I didn't realize that either until a little bit ago. But all of these guys are on this team. Now, you can also try to create a scenario that all these guys are going to, in the 2024 team, is going to try and eventually be at the same level as these guys. But some of these guys are coming to the tail end of the career, and the only one that's even cracking some of these numbers is LeBron. So you can also go with that aspect on it. But I think it's hands down 92. And if you put these guys against each other, it'd be fun. But I just think that 92 locks them down a lot more than anybody.
Hell no. Hell no. No, man. The only one that's going to probably the only people that are probably locked down is maybe Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And I'll give it to David Robinson. But, bro, if Steph Curry comes up half court and he pulls it and he makes the shot, they're going to be like, oh, man.
John Stockton. So Curry
John Stockton cannot cover Steph Curry, bro.
I'm telling you right now, look it up online. If you guys think John Stockton wasn't great on D or arguably one of the best trash talkers in the league history, look up something on John Stockton. He's Gary Payton, who talks a lot of trash, also said John Stockton was one of the most filthiest, nastiest shit talkers there ever was, and a hell of a player. So I think John Stockton versus Steph. Steph has the range, but Stockton has, I think, better assists and better on ball. I think you could arguably say Steph Curry. Granted, Steph Curry has handles for days. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying Steph Curry isn't great, but I give you Steph Curry might be able to.
No. But the thing is that you brought up stats of like all-time blocks or all-time points and all this stuff. That doesn't matter when you're playing one game. What do they got to do? They got to play defense and score. If Steph Curry is putting up 25 points, LeBron's putting up 20, Kevin Durant's putting up 20, Joel Embiid, who's going to cover Joel Embiid?
You got David Robinson on Joel Embiid.
They're not covering this team.
You got
Prime. He wouldn't make it past the second quarter. He would hurt his knee. So
David Robinson can slow him down, but he's not going to be able to cover him.
Maybe
Joel Embiid will score 10.
Dude, David Robinson was an athlete, man. Like he was one of the best athletes of in basketball history. Like, have you seen that dude's physique? Like he is absolutely jacked.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's going to be able to slow him down, but he's not going to be able to stop him. Is what I'm saying. And who's gonna cover Kevin Durant?
Scottie Pippen.
Okay, so he covers. Okay, so who's gonna cover LeBron?
You could put
Jordan on.
So who's gonna cover Curry?
No, I'd put Michael on Steph.
No, Stockton cannot cover Curry, bro. Okay. So who's gonna cover Tatum?
Tatum?
Who's gonna cover Devin Booker? Who's gonna cover AD? Who's gonna cover Ant? Who's gonna cover Bam?
All right, so
that bench.
Let me go ahead and reread all these guys on here.
Dude,
I mean, hell.
No, they're great players. I'm not taking it away from them. I'm not taking it away from them.
A bunch of those guys,
bro. But they have too many players that are more skillful and faster than that squad does. The starting unit for that squad is really good, but the second unit is nothing compared to this second unit.
So I guess the other question would be is what era are we playing in? Are we playing in 90s? Because I think that Steph wouldn't be able to hang with the 90s because granted Steph can shoot from half court, but just body size, you were able to guard a lot different back then. You know, he could hit a lot more. So Steph could definitely shoot without a doubt. But they're not going to have that aspect of it. But you also got to think too, if Jordan can play in this era where he could basically look at somebody and get fouled, Jordan would have probably 50 points by himself. Like,
I want to go that far, but I think though too, just with any of these debates, I think the context of everything matters. I think whenever we start though too, like with these debates, like when we talk about like, oh well, this person played against plumbers, this person did against that, this person, like I think when it comes to looking at all-time debates, like what's the greatest stream team, like for me, I always just like to contextualize how they were against their peers. And you can make the argument, well, it wasn't like this, or it wasn't like they weren't as good as they were back then as they were today. My thing about it is if you take these players like Michael Jordan, David Robinson, Scottie Pippen, man, like all these players back then, and you put them in today's game, give them today's training, give them today's nutrition, give them today's basket, like the skill sets. I feel like their mentality is what separates them from a lot of these other players, because look at all these players that are on the list: David Robinson, Ewing, Bird, Pippen, Jordan, Drexler, Malone, Stockton, Mullen, Barkley, and Magic. Those were all elite players in their game. Whereas you look at guys today, Derek White, Jrue Holiday, like, yeah, they're great. They're good players, but they're not on that same level of a Michael Jordan or a Scottie Pippen, or even some of the bench players as well, like a Clyde Drexler or a John Stockton. I would not put Derek White or Jrue Holiday above them in terms of abilities. I just wouldn't.
I would, because it's all about. I get what you're saying about what era they're going to play in and this and that, and if
it's the biggest factor I think in this, because rules have changed and it's
the thing is, bro, the way that the rules were back in the day, that's not how you play basketball, bro. Basketball is not football. You can't have that much contact. You can't go into the lane and just smack a guy on the arm like that. No, that's not basketball, bro. That the way that they used to play it back in the day was just them being super physical, because there was no other way to play. But that's not skillful. When it comes to skills, is what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah, no.
The skill rate today compared to the 90s is so much better, bro. Like, yes, Michael Jordan, if he plays today, 100%, I think he could drop fucking 30 points per game, just like how these dudes do too, because he's really skillful. You know what I'm saying? And John Stockton, I think he's good, but he'll just be an assist leader, and he wouldn't be able to put that much points up compared to these defensive players that there were back in the day. Back in the day, he was going up against Gary Payton, Michael Jordan, and then who else? Who else was covering him like that?
John Stockton?
Yeah.
There was a bunch of good guards back in the day.
No, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just because you can't name a few off the top of the head right now because we're looking at just these select players. But John Stockton,
we're going off of these teams anyways.
But I'm just saying, like, guys like Stockton, yeah, he'd get a lot of assists today. He would be like a Trae Young to me. Like, he could shoot. That was the other thing. It was an underrated part of his game. But as far as, though, too, like, a lot of these guys, like, the way the game is played, like, there was skill back in the day. Like, that's why you had...
There was. But what I'm saying is there's more skill now than there was back in the day.
I think the skill has just changed. Like, I wouldn't necessarily... Like, look at the post game back then versus now. It wasn't all just Shaq bullying people in the post. You had guys like Hakeem that had excellent footwork. You had MJ that could do the post fade. You had Kareem and Magic even with the baby skyhook. So the post game was more skillful back then than I think it is today. Because I think now most of the time people just focus on shooting threes. Mm-hmm. Back then, there was more mid-range, there was more post work. Nowadays, it's just driving in and shooting for the most part, if you want to be really reductive and really pedantic. So I would say the skills, I think the level of skill hasn't changed. I think just the type of skill is what's different. And that's why these players are so dominant today, because they are great they're great on ball in terms of defenders, in terms of not drawing a lot of contact, not getting a lot of fouls. Whereas back then you could be more physical, you could be more on defense. Offensively, they're more focused on, back then they were focused on the post, they're focused on mid-range. Nowadays it's threes and slashing. So it just depends on what type of skills we're talking about. So that's why I think era matters in context of it too. So.
Just speaking on these two teams is what I'm saying, right? I think there's more skill on this team. There's more basketball skill on this team than there was in the 92 Dream Team, is what I'm saying. Overall, the players, like, yes, Michael Jordan was awesome. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, David Robinson, John Stockton was a great passer. But this team overall is, what I'm saying is, way more basketball skillful than the 92 Dream Team.
Yeah.
It's tough whenever you say skillful for basketball because you got the old heads are going to say, well, they played basketball. These new guys can travel. Because you couldn't travel, you couldn't have as many steps back in the day. They shot mid-range shots, and so like it is different. But I think one thing we all can agree on: this '92 team had more of the high fade per capita than any team known to man. Every single player had the box haircut on there. David Robinson, Chris Mullin, everybody did. But to put a bow one more time on John Stockton, I just had to look this up real quick. He is actually number 28 all time in scoring at 19,711 points. So the guy still definitely did score. He's in your top 30 of all time, plus the leading in assists and steals. So
okay, so how many of these players on this team is above him right now?
Actually, not as much as you would think, though. I didn't get a chance to look that up because I was honestly thinking
for sure the top three. For sure, the top three right now are above him.
Yeah. Above him in points.
Yeah.
But not, okay, so you could also take that aspect, that same argument is that he's a true point guard. He leads all of them on assists.
And that's why I said he'll be a great assist. That's why I didn't take that away from him. But when it comes to scoring, he's not going to be able to match up with these dudes.
He's going to spread the floor on offense because he can shoot.
Yes,
and
exactly.
He's going to be able, and then he's also, though, too, he's got a great pick and roll with Malone. That's another thing with chemistry. The fact that too, like he's also, if I'm not mistaken, he's like number 1 or 2 all time in steals. So like
that's what I was saying before. He's number 1 in steals. That's why I was saying with the Steph Curry thing that Steph Curry could outhandle him as far as that. But John Stockton had great defense and would steal the ball a lot. So like you can't all of a sudden just because he was not the cool looking dude that everybody else is. You kind of have to give him his flowers sometimes too, man.
Yeah. But
what guards was John Stockton covering that as great as Steph Curry?
I mean, it's
hard to say though because Steph Curry has kind of came into his own. I mean, let's not forget Steph Curry was almost a bust because he was accident prone.
This guy Steph Curry changed the game of basketball. What do you mean? He's a generational talent.
The basketball game changed around him though too.
Yeah, well, and that's not to say either that like Steph Curry is not Steph Curry wouldn't win that matchup against John Stockton. I'm not saying that. I think Curry does win that matchup overall, but I don't think
that's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm saying like it's not as wide of a margin. I think as a lot of people like, oh my gosh, Steph Curry's going to score like 50 on John.
No. I don't think that either. I don't think that. I'm just saying that matchup right there, Curry's winning.
Yeah, he'll get his. But if I'm doing the matchups, I'd probably borderline just slap MJ on him. I'd slap MJ on it because
hold on real quick before we move on. Let's do this last thing. Yeah. Give me the starting 5 for the '92 Dream Team, and I'm gonna pick a starting 5 because we don't know the starting 5 here yet. But I'm gonna pick the best starting 5 here. Go ahead, Steve.
Answer your question real quick. There's only LeBron and Durant are the only 2 players ahead of John Stockton on scoring list.
Curry is not ahead of him.
30, 20. I thought he had 20K.
Oh, so he's 2 levels down. He's but he's going to pass.
30.
He's going to pass.
Curry will pass him. Curry will pass him. That's no doubt.
So the starting point guard for the '92 Dream Team is Magic Johnson, correct?
I would say so.
Yeah, I think, and that was the only reason I think that he is because it was his last time he was going to be playing. Yeah, so I think it should have been. It should have been Stockton, but Magic Johnson because this was a special thing.
Okay. So it'll be Johnson versus Curry. Who wins that matchup?
No, see, I would just because for me, like I'm for the matchups because I think I have an idea of who you're going to put at each position. I wouldn't put Magic on Curry. I would put Magic on LeBron just because it's the same. It's a relatively same size. So I would.
So we'll start off with that.
Yeah.
Who wins that matchup?
LeBron versus Magic?
Yes.
Yeah, LeBron wins, but it's not going to be a cakewalk for him.
No. I'm not talking about cakewalk. I don't believe it's going to be a cakewalk. I do not believe that. I just think even if it's by 1 point, I think this team wins. Is what I'm saying.
I'll give LeBron that one. LeBron versus Magic.
Okay.
LeBron.
So the next one would be Michael Jordan. Who would he be covering? It will be either.
I'd put him on Curry.
Put him on Curry. Okay, so I think that one right there will probably.
I go Mike.
I think Mike wins that matchup because Curry doesn't have defense like that.
100%. Right, and I didn't realize. I kind of forgot too that Jordan's defense was pretty damn good too. Jordan's number 7 all time.
No, his defense was great. His defense was great.
He was a killer on both.
He was like the best 2-way player I think ever.
he was the best player in the league at this point. This is like in the midst of the
yeah. He was in his peak. Okay, so Jordan wins that one. All right.
Yep.
Larry Bird on Kevin Durant.
No.
Please do not tell me Larry Bird.
I'm putting Pippen on Durant.
Okay.
Pippin's definitely on Durant.
And even then, I got Durant.
See, I think Pippen would body Durant up.
Bro, Durant's 7 feet. He's shooting over him.
Pippen,
He's shooting over him all day. Bro, he got 4 inches on him, bro. No. He got 6 inches on him.
Pippin's got athleticism though way more than Durant. So I would say borderline.
Whoa. You think way more?
Dude, Pippen has like 40, like his vertical was like I think just a step below MJ.
Bro,
so like
Kevin Durant is a 7-foot point guard sometimes, even shooting guard. Do you see the way he handles the ball and the way he plays?
But it doesn't matter if Pippen can make it up with his vert. Like that's the thing. Like he goes up, Pippen's got like 5 or 6 inches.
Bro, he's shooting over him, bro. He's shooting over him.
I give that one a
watch. Having said that though, I think this definitely comes back to where the era you're playing in, because Durant doesn't have the size as Pippen had. Pippen was a big dude. Durant couldn't body him up. So it would, if you're playing in this era,
I'm talking about shooting over him. I'm not talking about post game. I'm talking about Durant making a move, pulling up from mid range, sinking it on Scottie Pippen.
So you're going Durant over Pippen.
But hold on, let's talk about that real quick. If Durant makes a move, pulls up from mid range, because that's what he does. Like that's his favorite move. Pulls up from mid range. Is he making it 10 times? How many times is he making it over Scottie Pippen?
6.
I'll definitely give him 7. But okay.
I'm also looking at not just like them in a nutshell, but I'm also looking at where they're at this point in their careers.
Oh,
like,
both peak.
Oh, well, I thought we were talking about like where they're at right now in their careers, because like
okay.
Yeah, like right now, like KD's 35, Pippen was 26, so like he's coming into his defensive prime. He was one of the best defenders of his era. So like
yes, 100%. But he wasn't covering a 7-foot guard. Dude, think about it. Think about the people that he was covering. They were like 6'6", 6'7".
But he's also guarding forwards and centers though too. So like he was a versatile defender. He could guard probably just about anybody you throw.
He was not guarding centers, bro. He was not guarding centers.
Power forwards, at least he could do that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give that.
KD is like he's a 6'11", 7-foot power forward, combo forward who has some guard skills. I think Pippen's athleticism on defense would make up for that, and it would be. I give it a wash, especially at this point in KD's career. Now, if we're talking prime KD, then you can make.
We'll talk about now because this is what the year he's playing. I don't know. I got KD there. I don't know. What do you guys, Steve?
I'd say it's a wash.
I would go Pippen in that one, honestly. I love Durant and I love his game. I would go Pippen just because I feel like Pippen gets kind of forgotten about his athleticism, like Brandon was saying, and the fact that he was a hell of an... Offensively, Durant's got him. Defensively, there's no touching it. It would be Pippen all day long on that one. But I think the matchup would be fun to watch for sure. If they played a one-on-one game, you never know what happened there, because your point of that he'd be able to shoot over him. Well, the rebuttal of that is also he has to be able to get the shot off. So, and Durant is, Pippen was a hell of a defender as well. So